Good morning, honorable judges. I am Arya as the first speaker of the country team. The affirmative says that top-down history only celebrates the elites and the one who have privilege, but they misinterpret that top-down history as a fame for elites. In reality, the top-down history focuses on establishment of institutions, law, and rules. Therefore, in post-conflict state, people who lack privilege are the ones who need understanding the most. The top-down history teach how institutions are rebuilt and it can empower their future to use legal method to protect their rights. Without understanding the top, the bottom remains vulnerable. And the affirmative claims that bottom up history is better because it gives everyone a voice. It sounds ideal, but in post conflict society, it can often have risk for being filled to group sentiment because if it gives everyone a voice, sometimes the voice are a clash response and not neutral. The top-down historiography gives other choice, that being neutral and avoid disintegration. And the third point, the affirmative says that top-down tend to champion the elite's right because systematically they had the most wealth and privilege and access to becoming the leader of the world, and it creating a one-side view that is it creates the one-side view. And the affirmative says that it probably just a bias. It means that the affirmative team is unsure about their own argument, and turns out actually the bottom up history is dangerously biased because the affirmative failed to recognize that the top down history provide the official legislative transcripts, diplomatic cables, etc., that is verifiable and documented. In contrast, the bottom up history heavily relies on word of mouth, personal memories, and subjective experiences. The personal memories are often the most biased and traumatized. And if affirmative says that it's just a propaganda, actually, the top-down historiograph are the best against a nation's disintegration and conflicts. If the nation doesn't provide the unified and standardized and historically narrative, the vacuum will be filled by the local warlords. When history is concentrated and concentrated around the foundational figures like Sukarno, for example, the objective is clear: to foster the nationalism and patriotism by providing a unified symbol for the state. In contrast, changing the focus to ordinary individuals in a post-conflict society is dangerous because these narratives are deeply subjective and emotionally charged. Instead of uniting a group or nation or state in this case, they, they only risk persuading chaos and reopening the old wounds that not representing national interests of peace and stability. And the affirmative also says that there's no sense of reliability if we use the top-down history because people who are being the champion in that history book is in popular historiography are tend to be the elites. But the purpose of the historiograph in a post-conflict state is not to being a mirror for personal experiences, but to provide aspirations. We don't need ordinary person to relate on the personal life of a leader. We need them to understand the encourage and institutional legacy. with this relatable thing, we only forcing the person to confront the specific trauma. And what if the person are related to the victim of the conflict? The top-down historiograph allows students from all backgrounds that want to study the history can learn how the state is rebuilt, how military are reformed, how law are established without being triggered by the trauma. And they are learning that kind of how a state rebuilt and not fragmented personal diaries. So it's it's not about how relates with the life of the leaders or not for us, the ordinary person, but how we can learn to reunite and rebuild the state. And that's what the ultimate form of relevance. By all that reason, we still proudly propose that the his- historiograph by top, uh, top-down historiograph is the best to in the post-conflict state. Thank you.